Hello, fellow wannabe showrunners, and welcome to another Wannabe Showrunners, the show where we show you how much we want to be showrunners. I'm Scott LaFlesh, and I'm here with Ty Skinner.
And it's not just another wannabe showrunner. I gotta say, it's the season finale.
It is. We didn't air on Thursday. That was a big change.
Big change for us. We're gearing up to go into our off season. We're starting to talk about
2 weeks.
2 weeks. We're gonna be off the air. And we're gonna be working every time. Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Oh my goodness! I can't remember.
Thursday, Saturday.
Thursday, and Saturday. We're gonna have a new set. We're gonna be running it through a new program. We're gonna be talking about.
We're gonna be doing a lot of new things.
A lot of new things. Very excited for season 2. Season 1 finale. Who would have thought we made it this far?
Who would have thought we would have finished a script?
Oh, I thought we would have finished a script.
When we started this, really, this was just supposed to be throwing pitches, just to show how much how many different ideas we can come up with. I really didn't think we were going to finish the script. At least, I thought if we were going to be working on the script, it would not have been done within the first year of doing this.
That's fair. Definitely, and that's kind of why we're winding down the season now, I think. Yeah. It just felt like 50 pitches, the script, it all kind of came together in a nice way. Definitely, we're going to have a busy couple of weeks, and we have some really big ideas that we've been excited to put together for season 2, so, yeah.
And let's be honest, we're going to be going away on a little bit of a vacation, so this is all going to be a weird thing going on.
Yeah, scheduling's going to be weird. No, because we're going to be back before October.
Yeah, right, exactly. But in the month of October, when we come back, it'll be a little bit bumpy right at first.
That's true. But
I just want to get people's expectations at the right level. We were coming into this fun and loose. So we're here. It's what do you Chalkos.
Say? Chalkos. Every Saturday for months now we've been working on Chalkos, which is really funny. We came from a wild card pitch where I kind of Scott said, he wanted to work on a fantasy. And I said, well, if we're going to do a fantasy, let's do an urban fantasy. Something like, what's that Netflix one that they did? Where like Will Smith was an orc or an elf?
Bright.
Yeah, so I was like, let's do an urban fantasy. Let's set it in the modern times. Let's not do something like, sword and sorcery.
And while we were pitching it, I kept accidentally saying rural fantasy.
Exactly. Which, as someone in the chat has pointed out, most fantasies of the past are rural fantasies, but this is a modern-day rural fantasy.
Which is different.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think there's anything that...
And, maybe it mirrors our own journey. We moved to a small town at a year ago. We're kind of writing a small town story, so, yeah. Anything else you want to say? So I guess let's talk about...
That's the thing. We're really writing a small town story, but seen through big city eyes. And really we're talking about it like a puzzle box. Like when I'm feeling very very ambitious, I'm like, it's like Lost. If I'm feeling, sometimes I say it's like Once Upon a Time. It's that kind of vibe. It's that kind of like, Eureka was another version of this. Just that kind of like a big mystery building out from a fantasy setting. What else is there to be said about Chalkos? That's the thing. Before we get into this, I kind of want to hit on some of the characters.
Okay, let's talk about some of the main characters.
So right away we're going to start with Urania and Melpomene. They're both harpies.
It's Melpomene. We call her Mel. We call her Mel for this exact reason.
But no, you're right. It is Melpomene. But they're both in the podcast world.
Right. I basically write Melpomene's voice to try and sound like Sarah Koenig from Serial.
Correct.
Right? It's like a murder podcast. It's supposed to be built... I picture I think that actually that's something we maybe want to talk about. But I do think that kind of like harpsichord, kind of like Serial music might become the soundtrack type of...
What word did you use?
Harpsichord.
For what? For our...
Serial music.
Who are...
What?
The characters are... The characters that play them are...
Urania and Melpomene.
And they are...
Harpies.
Do you not get the joke that I'm making?
Oh, yeah, okay. Harpies and harpsichord. See, that kind of fits, right?
Exactly.
But I think given that the show is built around their podcast, at least to start, that might influence some of how the theme song for a show goes and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Then we have the sheriff and his family. It's a family of Minotaurs.
So we got the sheriff, Alexander, and Jason.
right? They're named after the kind of some of the classic heroes from Greek mythology, that kind of thing. And they, especially Jason has like a hero's journey. And then the second family that's kind of intertwined with them is a family of cherubs with Eros, who's the deputy,
and Daphne.
Daphne, who's his little sister, and Chiron, who's the grandfather.
Yes.
Right.
Who raised them.
Daphne is in a relationship with Jason. Is there anything more to say about that?
No.
Okay, so the other family we really want to talk about are the family of witches, which is something we...
Witch / sirens.
See, there's some sirens. So, the witches were like a power... We basically invented this is the only one of the few places we cheat in the Greek mythology world.
We just thought this was cool.
Yeah, we wanted to have some humanoids to save on the budget. We talked about how like Greek statues, that kind of thing, are made out of bronze, and we thought, what if it's just humanoids, and in the mode of that where they're bronze. And we also talked about having a witch. Scott wanted her to be bright green.
Yeah, because I think
like that kind of like witch trope of Elphaba and the Wicked Witch of the West. We said, what if they're copper skinned and then they tarnish green? We're in Canada. It's like the roof of the Parliament buildings, right? Like that's kind
or
of
just the Statue of Liberty.
Exactly. So one of them is a skincare specialist. She's got bronze skin. And then the other is let herself kind of go more to the elements. She's got green skin.
But the thing I really liked was the son Icarus.
So let's keep on going through the family, sorry, because you've jumped. So we have like the main witch, who's named Circe. And then Circe's sister Cass.
Cass, correct.
Who's kind of more of a millennial, right? Like she's like an influence, like that kind of thing. So she has a family with athlete who's a siren. An athlete, a former Olympian. And so their kids are Icarus,
Helen, and
Echo.
Echo, yeah. And Echo's the oldest. And Echo's our main character that we're following with Jason and Daphne.
Right. They're kind of they're good friends.
They're a trio.
Yeah, exactly. Then we have the two younger siblings who aren't going to be so big in this season, but like they're positioned to be bigger.
Icarus is definitely positioned to be bigger.
And Icarus
the thing about Helen is I really feel...
but let's stay on one character at a time and then explain the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're explaining it all together.
Yeah, I know. But Echo, who's the eldest, she's a rebel. She's the friend with them, but she has like very punk rock vibes.
Yep.
Then we jump down to the next younger brother, Icarus, who's kind of like a scientist, kind of like, but also...
The thing I like about Icarus is that going back to the green tarnish, because again, I didn't want to jump around all on this.
Yeah.
Going back to the green tarnish, he is going to... Because his mom is caring about the skin and all that, he's going to be... and he's fair and young.
He's young.
He's going to be copper, like that bronze copper. But he's going through acne, and I really like this idea that you came up with, which was that we're going to give him like little tarnishes of little green flecks here and there as his acne.
Yeah, he's like a 13-year-old. He's going through that awkward... 13, 14, he's going through that awkward stage. His skin's breaking out, that kind of thing. Has a little breakout of copper, of green tarnish on his skin. Then the youngest sister, Echo...
No, Helen.
Helen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Helen.
Is a blank slate. We don't have really anything for her. So, she can grow up based off of how the actress is.
It's true. We've talked about her being kind of, at that age, kind of, loud and precocious, right? Like kind of jokes.
But any kid can play that.
Absolutely.
But a kid will get into a different character set as they grow up. And that's the thing I like about Helen, is we can play with her. Not, but you know what I mean. We can play with that character in a way that...
There's a lot of freedom to that character. We don't have her fate isn't set like some of her other characters. Do we want to talk about anyone else, or do you want to go... obviously we want to talk about the central murder mystery.
No, I just want to... Because they are brought up. We do have the Midas family.
Oh, that's right. They do get a scene in this.
We have Alcibiades, but the Midas family are, again, kind of something that we kind of created, but based off of a Greek mythology character, which is the donkey humans.
Yeah, so it's King Midas. Everyone knows that King Midas was cursed and he could whatever he touched could turn into gold. People don't realize he lived on after that and he was around in the myths after that. but he was supposed to judge a contest, and people got upset, and he ended up having to grow tall donkey ears.
Yeah.
And so it's the idea of he wasn't technically a human anymore. He's still kind of a demi whatever. So his family's still stuck around.
Exactly.
In this universe. So they're like the super rich. They've got like kind of Succession, like white power, but richer than anything vibes. Like they've got a weird kind of like family. We don't want to get into their whole family dynamic, but
right.
With their son is named Alcibiades, and he's kind of a rebel. He's kind of
Right, exactly. Now, the last family I want to talk about are the Cyclopses.
Yeah.
And so we have a farmer who's supposed to be our, like, town fool. But his daughter is the senator of the area. And it's her husband who is murdered and petrified.
Turned to stone.
And they blame it on... Oh, I guess we want
to talk about the
last character, though. No, because that's not a family. That's the last character.
Yeah.
So this is the last family we want to talk about is the Cyclopses.
Right. He just gets quickly brushed over, basically. He's around. He's a conspiracy theorist.
It's the fact that they're connected to this all.
Right. And then finally we have a Gorgon who's kind of a drifter. I think she might be a sex worker, although I feel like I've been running away from that.
No, I really want to still have her. That's the whole thing. She's a sex worker. But like, this is a world that, like, isn't, like, sex working isn't illegal.
No, absolutely. And she's a Gorgon. She's the only Gorgon in the area. Kind of seems like an open and shut case. Oh, she does have a history with the victim. He was a client of hers, and seems like an open and shut case. She's been imprisoned, and that's what basically is our initiating incident. That's what brings the podcasters to the town. Are we starting?
I think we're ready to start.
So now you've reread this script since we finished. I have not. Some of this I wrote like 5 or 6 months ago. I'm holding off for this. Some of it might be really awkward. While we're going through, we're going to talk about what we like and what we don't like, and make notes for when we come back and put the second draft in. If you're following along, if you like something, if you don't like something, put it in the comments. Let us know, because that's something we'll also aim to hit. And that's the nice thing about doing this live on a stream. We'll aim to cover some of those things going forward to when we do our next draft.
Right. I'll just start?
Yeah, get started.
Alright, so it's an external shot of Atlantis. We're going to have like a drone shot come in. I would like it to like kind of follow the whole entire town type thing as we come out to the bus station. Yeah. Bustling modern city. It seems to resemble our world in some ways. People use cell phones and walk down streets. Some drive cars, but in others it is very different. Magic use is common. The general architecture and aesthetics is ancient Grecian. We follow a commuter bus as it winds its way out of the city and across a large crescent-shaped island to the town on the other side of a bay. A string instrumental theme song plays and then fades down into the background.
Mel in voiceover says, "The town of Chalkos, just one of a dozen towns in the deltas. Just another place you could drive through, if there was even anything on the other side to drive to. Like many of the towns of its size in the deltas, it's come on hard times with the decrease in fish stocks off the Atlantic shelf. While the towns further up the Chalkos River capitalize on Pikean break visitors from Atlantis, this pastoral paradise remains blessedly free from frat boys. The Delta, it is a muddy place of pure, clean water. It is a place of pure, clean water and muddy swamps, where you can take a rejuvenating mud bath to clean your pores, and where some of the most crystal clear waters conceal sucking mud that can swallow a centaur hull. But Delta also means change. In math, Delta is the difference between an initial state and a resulting state. And the town of Chalkos is going through a lot of change lately. A change brought on by the murder of a beloved senator's husband. In a small town, any change could be the one that sends it over the edge. The thing that removes it from the map like so many that have fallen to the shade. Oh, I like that turn of phrase that we invented and never used again. Will this change? This delta, this difference between the town as it was last week and the town as it is today, be the final change for Chalkos? Or will the town find peace? This is Delta. One story told week by week. At times it will sound like the story of a person. At times it will sound like the story of a town. But really, it is a story about change. About a Delta. It's like a worse version of our exit speech, right? I like it a lot, but it is like we basically say all that but better in the outro.
That's what I said. We got like this. When I was reading this, I was like, "Oh, this is good," but like it wasn't as good as the ending, and it pretty much is kind of what the ending was.
Yeah.
But I like that because it's repeating of the same.
Oh, definitely. This is supposed to be like an essay, right?
But
it's
I think based off of how we wrote the ending, we can fine tune this to match more to the ending.
Okay.
So you're in agreement with that.
Yeah.
Right. So the camera zooms in past Melpomene to the screen on the back of the seat in front of her, where a map of the bus progress shows the centaur icon moving down a long crescent-shaped bay all the way to Chalkos. So I really see like a little tiny like symbol of a centaur, because it's supposed to represent the bus going around the little town up the bay, and it really gives that like Game of Thrones-y vibe.
That's what we talked about, right? It's supposed to be like a Game of Thrones feeling of fantasy, but in the modern era, putting that kind of original map scene on like an automatic bus kind of tracking system like you would see on the back of an airplane seat feels like a good gesture to that.
Which is opening credits. The opening credits are the animated GPS sequence. We rejoin the bus's progress as it enters the town. There's a long drone shot of the town from around Lighthouse on the hill overlooking the town, around the Midas Mansion, past the old copper mine where a bunch of old statues seem clustered seemingly at random, but upon closer inspection are performing a scene. Over a farm where a herd of Pegasi frolic in the pasture. Over the town square where we see the Midas General Store, the municipal offices, we finally come to a rest in front of the inn where the Centaur bus line has stopped and the door opens. There's this close-up on Melpomene's boots as she steps off the bus, then both harpies step into view. External Chalkos bus station in town square. Like, not in the town square.
It's an inn.
It's an inn and town square, because it's all like a really tiny, tiny town. There was a Urania. There was a great intro. That was a great intro. One thing though, you didn't like at all mention the girl.
It's not really her story though. It's more of the story of.
And then Mel trails off as Arrow stands in front of the bus expectantly. Welcome to Chalkos, ladies.
Oh, right. Well, thanks. I guess you know who we are, so.
Deputy Arrows. Lower Delta Sheriff's Department, ma'am. Sheriff Alexander asked me to come meet you fine ladies. I can escort you over to the office for a meeting as soon as you're all settled in. I can barely read this from here.
Do you want to switch sides?
No, I want to find a way to duplicate this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just put it over there.
Alright, you're good with that?
Yeah, but put the camera on this side so I can see us.
Boom.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really kind, I guess. Well...
Urania, with a twinkle. We'd love to head over right away. I'm still all set up to record. Let's just drop our bags inside.
And Arrow says...
Oh, I gotta do Eros as well. It's not calling for rain. You can just leave them here. Dionysus will see them eventually and bring them inside.
Will they be safe?
Ha! As long as Bigfoot doesn't get them, I think you'll be okay.
And Urania says...
That's great then.
And Arrow says...
I can take you in my truck.
Arrow gestures to a gleaming sheriff's department truck nearby.
But it's just down the street if you'd prefer to stretch your wings. I've taken the bus ride a few times myself, and I know it can get awfully cramped. They say they're big enough for a centaur, but they're not ideal for us winged folks.
I'd love to stretch out my wings and get a closer look at the town. Never know where the winds might take us.
Eros and Mel fly down the street. Urania follows 2 steps behind, walking and holding a small handheld audio recorder. While they fly, they talk.
So, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but can you tell me about the murder?
Not to be disrespectful, but I don't want to talk about that before you all speak with the sheriff.
I totally understand. Okay, what's Chalkos like? Have you lived here your whole life?
Yes, ma'am. Born and bred. My daddy worked here. Worked the seas as a fisherman until it took him and my mama both. My grandpa worked the seas too before them. It was him that raised me. Chalkos was always a great town. The sea provided for us, and we lived grateful to it. Nothing like this has ever happened here before. Nothing like this would have happened either if the fish were still around.
What makes you say that?
Well, the young girl, she was sweet type. Never saw her going the way she ended up. It's the hard times, I say. Time was a sweet girl like that would never get wound up in something like she was doing.
And what was she wrapped up in?
Well, now, I guess I wouldn't say she was wrapped up in anything. She just loved too much.
So you think jealousy might be the motive here?
He pauses for a long moment, and then they pass by Cass's Emporium. Fine morning to you, Lady Cassandra.
And Eros lapses into silence as they walk. Mal says, so, jealousy? Was there another person involved?
I think my big mouth has gotten me into trouble again. You nearly tricked me there, ma'am. I think you should get the official story from the sheriff before I keep talking.
I understand. What else do you want to talk about?
Now, when you all get back to the inn, you have to try the scampi. It's the best on Olympia. No question. The stew is great too if you're not so much for the seafood. I know city people, although you will get bored here quickly if you don't want to eat the fish. All the meat for the stew comes fresh from the farm just outside of town. I know the farmer myself. Great guy. Bit of a kook though, but he's got nothing compared to my grandpa. Oh, we're here. I don't like that.
No, I do.
I don't like the we're here.
Because to me, it's a character who's getting lost in his thoughts. You know what I mean? Like he keeps on getting lost on the.
I guess there has to be an exclamation mark here.
Oh yeah.
It just has to be oh.
Yeah.
I know the exclamation mark has to be here.
Right.
It has to be oh, we're here. You can't.
Right. You can't do that right now. Okay. Eros goes to open the door, but it is flung open by Jason, a teenage minotaur nearly missing Eros. It's my life, okay?
Jason storms off. The podcasters watch him with interest. Now, I know y'all will want an interview with the sheriff on the record, but he would really appreciate a chance to speak with you off the record at first. I'm going to ask if you'd be kind as to hand over your recording devices and phones.
Smash cut. So we're just going to cut, implying that even though we're not really, because they're audio medium, we're implying that our eyes into this are tied to their recording devices.
Exactly.
Which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I still like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, it's more that it's tied to them still, but it is, yeah.
Yeah. Exterior. The lighthouse at dusk. We see a dark, quiet garden. Inside the lighthouse, there is a shouting and a pulsing, multicolored light. From the edge of the garden through the trees, there is movement. Shortly, two small shadows, Helen and Icarus, visible only in silhouette, run across the small open area and crouch outside a window.
Helen giggles. What is she doing?
Shh. I don't know. But it's so cool. Interior of the lighthouse. The floor of the large circular lighthouse has been painted in multicolored fractals. Cersei stands in the center of the floor, loudly chanting nonsense. Her face, body, and clothes have all been painted in patterns to match the floor. Cersei twirls and spins, throwing herself and grunting, doing rituals that involve every part of her body, and gyrates in strange ways. It seems to take a lot out of her. The ritual comes to a crescendo, and Cersei is lifted from the ground, her chanting never stopping. The light shoots up from the floor and out through the open roof of the lighthouse. Silence falls and Cersei falls. Landing on the bed, she bounces out and onto the floor with a groan.
Icarus, I see you out there. Would you be a dear and help me?
There is a flurry of activity from outside until the door creaks open and Icarus and Helen timidly enter. Icarus and Helen each come to Cersei's side. Helen grabs Cersei's arm and starts to tug.
What the sticks do you think you're doing, girl? No! On the counter, the orange box.
Icarus goes to the large kitchenette and shouts that he's found it.
This one?
No, well, you can't take
I
all
was
the
Icarus.
characters.
No, because you were Helen.
No, you were Helen.
Oh, was I?
You were Helen.
Huh.
Because you ran into
so I was
Giggles.
Helen, yeah.
I know.
My bad. You go.
As Cersei speaks, she slowly gets to her feet and then falls into bed.
Yes, that's it, darling. 3 leaves of that. Pummeled, not ground.
Icarus goes for the mortal and pestle.
Don't be dim, dear. Put the kettle on first so the water is boiled when you're ready.
Icarus turns on the gas burner and puts a large kettle on. It makes sense that they'd have a gas burner. Their whole thing is fire. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's a good boy. Now, when it's steeped, add some milk and honey and bring that over to me. That kind of magic always gives me a headache. Now, would you mind telling me what you're doing here?
Helen says,
Oh, shit. Mommy and Daddy...
took all the characters as we were going. You took every single one. I had to take one back. Don't complain now.
Mommy and Daddy dropped us off so they could see Echo play music. I wanted to go, but they said I'm not old enough to go see Echo play music. I don't know why not. I hear her play music all day long at the house. She's not that good.
Icarus to Cersei says, Echo's playing at the Hydra's Head. Mom said they needed a date night.
How like my sister not to pick up the phone and warn me, because I clearly don't have anything to do on all her day.
So what were you casting just now?
Who says I was casting anything?
Icarus looks at Cersei levelly.
It was a spell of guidance.
Helen says.
Like for a ship?
Cersei says.
Kind of like that, but this one was for a person. Well, people.
I didn't know you could do that. Who was it for?
For the new visitors. Oh.
Yeah, that's you.
No, you went to... Oh, for the new visitors. The ones from the radio company. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't think you'd hear about the visitors out here at the lighthouse.
I hear about all kinds of things, Icarus, dear.
Helen says.
Did you hear Icky still wets the bed, Auntie Cersei?
Helen!
It's nothing to be embarrassed about, dear.
Cersei takes away Icarus's tea and pours it on a potted plant.
Do you think it... Oh, no, it's you.
Do you think it worked? The spell, I mean?
The light show isn't just for fun, dearie. It's tough to say with guidance spells. Even if you do them perfectly, they're never exact. The effects can be hard to spot, and even when they're working perfectly, the target doesn't know it's affecting them at all.
Cersei looks sad.
That's if there is even right path. Sometimes the best you can do is the least bad option.
So I just want to break out here and talk about, this is something I really was really important to me in designing the magic system for Chalkos. When I always think of Greek mythology and the stories that come from that, you hear about like, oh, the prophecies that make themselves happen, right? What am I trying to think of? Like Oedipus, who had to leave home, and then all that wouldn't have happened if there wasn't that prophecy. Same thing, I think of like a lot of that Jason and the Argonauts. They're kind of doing sacrifices. They don't really, the winds are kind of against them, but they're not so, and then the things go better. Like there's guidance spell. And like you're never really seeing, except for like usually like a couple enchanted items, you're usually not seeing this kind of spells like, oh, like have fireballs and effects and that kind of stuff. To me, that's like any plot contrivance we want now, we can explain through magic. But
exactly.
It just fits in it just fits in that kind of way.
Yeah.
So that was really important to me. We included that explanation there.
Yeah.
Icarus says, why do you even care about the podcasters from the city? My mom is trying to get them to interview her, but... we gotta go back and put that in when they're seen later. But I didn't think you would care about that kind of thing. Cersei says.
No, I feel like she's still level-headed. That's the whole thing. I feel like she's level-headed. And maybe we change this on... But I feel like she's when in that scene that we end up having, she's gonna be just too starstruck.
I think no, she's not. To me, she's not that. She's so cool. I think just almost every sentence, she just kind of flips around to a sales pitch. I think that's where we do it. To me, that's what it is. We just add a couple more strong, like name drops and sales pitches there, and like that kind of stuff.
I don't at all care about that kind of thing, as you know very well, young man. What I do care about is the girl.
Helen says,
"Me?"
Cersei says,
"No, not you, sweetie." Cersei covers Helen's ears. "You'll protect her, right?"
Icarus falls on the ground laughing. When he collects himself, Cersei continues.
If what did you call them? Podcasters? Find what they are looking for, the girl Celine will go free?
Helen says,
"My daddy says that lady did bad things."
Helen!
"That's what the guidance spell is for, honey. I don't think she did, but if she did do those evil things, it will help the..."
With a look to Icarus.
"Podcasters to find that out?"
to Icarus.
Why exactly are they called podcasters? Are they doing a spell through the radio waves?
No, they kind of have a show that you download to your phone.
Oh, in my day we called them DJs.
That's the thing. Seriously, we write her like she's 80, but she's really a child of the 90s. She's
Yeah.
just like a old soul, kind of, yeah. Okay, Icarus says, do you think you could teach me to do something like that?
What the Hades do I know about hosting a radio show, boy?
No, magic.
Cersei seizes Icarus up for a long moment. Sizes Icarus up for a long moment. She takes out a tape measure and has him spread out his arms. She takes too many measurements. After some time, Cersei settles back into her chair. No, sorry, weak chin.
You don't need a chin to do magic.
Don't you know? Haven't you heard the new regulations that were passed by the ministry?
And Cersei.
I can teach you the theory, I suppose. Whether or not you have the spark is up to you. Although your mother has the gift, even if she never uses it. So I suppose you might too.
Icarus runs up to his aunt and hugs her. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Helen has grown restless from having no attention for so long. She has picked up the tape measure and is measuring herself. Now do me!
Cersei says.
Now let's see. Oh, you're far too fearsome a hunter to ever become a weak old witch like me.
Cersei picks up the measuring tape and starts to wrap it around Helen playfully. And then...
Oh! It's a pun on broadcaster!
End of scene. On the far side of the casting circle, 2 luggage tags sit in a dish. Cut from them to the severed strings on the luggage tag in the inn. And then, so we're back in the inn, implying that she's somehow gotten these luggage tags to cast the spell on them. The bar is alive, as it would be most Saturday nights. The tables in the center of the floor have been cleared away to make a dance floor. There's a rowdy vibe as the group is ready for a live band to perform. Echo, Jason, and the rest of the Argonauts, that doesn't exist anymore, are in a booth to the side of the platform, along with Daphne, who is also decked out in her homemade merch. Cass and Paris are at the bar, along with Chiron and Hercules. Charybdis is behind the bar serving drinks. A bell jingles as the door opens, and Eros leads Urania and Mel into the bar. And that's when I shocking knew that I was a goner. I felt the tentacle tighten around me ankle and started to pull me under. Now yous know me. I never was a superstitious fella. Didn't believe the hysterians when they tried to tell me that what happened 2,000 years ago neither. I'm what you like to call a independent thinker. But I opened my heart and whatever was left in my lungs and maybe whatever was in my bladder too, if you know what I mean. And I called out to Poseidon with every inch of myself. And you know what? I'll be cursed if the bugger didn't let me go. It was like the sky opened up and...
Patron seemed dubious while Hercules nods along knowingly. I like that.
Me too. But also...
He's just like this.
Yeah, it sounds right. But also, I don't like that the grandpa speaks like an East Coaster.
You wrote that! I made the comment!
And then the grandson speaks like Andy Griffith. Like, where did the grandson get that accent? I like that the grandfather speaks like an East Coaster. I think we've got to rewrite the accent for Eros to also speak that way.
No, I like it. I like this. I'm going for it. I say we stick with these 2 weird accents.
Oh my goodness. And what's the Daphne has no accent at all. We didn't write one for her at all. Oh my goodness. What were we thinking?
Goodness.
What a family.
I'm totally right. I think it's better. Alright, so where are you?
You're Eros.
Oh, Grandpa, you're not telling them about the Kraken again, are you?
You know, young pup, some people believe your old granddad more than they believe fussy old scientists in the lab. The Kraken is as real as me boot sitting in the harbor and 10 times the size. And who are you, lovely lady friend? Who are your lovely lady friends? Best excuse my grandson, young ladies. He doesn't have any manners because he doesn't have a mom or a dad and was raised by a crazy old fisherman.
Now Mel says,
I'm Melpomene with the Atlantean. Your gallant grandson has been kind enough to show us around the town, so someone must have done something right. I'd love to buy you a drink and hear more about the Kraken later.
Eros, you don't need to buy him a drink to hear any of his crazy old stories. In fact, sometimes it's the only way to get him to stop.
I suspect journalism is rather the same as police work, Deputy Eros. It's always better to keep them talking.
There's a loud squall of feedback from the stage. It sounds like the band is about to start. I hate loud noises, so that's my cue to leave. I'm going to say goodbye to Daphne, and then head home. Charybdis is at the bar. She should have your keys, and if there's anything else you ladies should need, just give me a call.
So he's now no longer Andy Griffin, he's... What's his name from House of Cards?
I know, I was really going for Kevin Spacey
from House of Cards. Oh my goodness. Eros flies through the crowd towards the stage where Daphne is with the band. Eros! Did you come to see the show?
That molasses in the... Every time I think about,
now see.
I just think of Andy explaining about the different, Ed Helms in The Office, explaining of the different Southern techniques, and he's like, "There's the Tennessee one where it's a little bit of molasses," and
I don't remember that.
I love it. No, I just had to drop the visitors here, and I wanted to say hi before I head out.
You should stay.
I'm on duty in the morning, Daff. I've got stuff to do.
Fine. Go on and be responsible then.
Look, don't let Grandpa stay out too late, okay? You know how he is in the morning when he doesn't get enough sleep.
I have to stay for the whole show, E. I'm the Argonauts' #1 fan.
And you're not biased at all because you're dating the singer and best friends with the drummer.
Doesn't hurt.
Right, after the show then, okay?
You got a deal.
Eros and Daphne hug and Eros leaves. Behind Daphne, Jason and Echo have taken to the stage. The lights dim in the bar and a few people applaud. Daphne clears excitedly and holds up a sign. Dionysus. Are you ready for Jason and the Argonauts?
Daphne goes wild. Jason and Echo come to the stage. Echo sits at the drums and Jason plays a crazy instrument called a fire lyre.
You were Jason.
I was Jason? Yeah. Oh yeah, I did do Jason. He only had one line so far. Hey everyone, thanks for coming out. I'm Jason.
And I'm the Argonauts, and this one's one you all know. It's called Olympus is Burning.
Daphne freaks out.
Like total freak.
Freaks out. Like the 60s and the Beatles.
You know who I could picture Daphne being?
Who?
The girl from Santa Clarita Diet and Never Have I Ever.
Ramona? Oh.
Yeah.
She'd have to play very different but she plays different in both of them, so she could do a whole new thing.
Like, just like I picture her being like all super excited and that, like, I don't know. I think she'd be really good for.
Do
you see what I mean?
I do. So we're talking about the character Ramona in Santa Clarita Diet.
Santa Clarita Diet, yeah.
We should know the actress's name. I put her in the Mad Hat recently. Yeah, find it out because we're giving her a shout out.
Ramona Young.
Oh, Ramona Young. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so
shout out to Ramona Young.
Yeah, I think
she'd be great. I really do think she'd be great for Daphne.
Yeah, I see it. This is not who I pictured, but I could definitely see that. Like, yeah. Perfect. Okay.
Just a little discovery we made right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, so
Jason and the Argonauts perform a punk cover of a folk-type song, and the lyrics tell of the final battle in a terrible war between the gods and the humans. In a mysterious event, they all disappeared. This is interspersed with cartoon depictions of the event. Oh, this is going to take... We only have 40 pages. We were worried about how much time. We just put like a 2-minute music video in the middle of it.
I know. There's a couple times where we did this.
This is interspersed with cartoon depictions of the events and clips of the bar patrons really enjoying themselves. People seem to be getting especially drunk. The scene ends at the end of the song.
Interior Sheriff's Office Day. Alexander sits at his desk with his hooves propped up on the desk. He's wearing cowboy boot-style horseshoes. He seems half asleep with his hat over his face. A voice comes over the speakerphone. Hercules. I'm telling you, Sheriff, Bigfoot is at it again. I got home last night and my crops were trampled.
Uh-huh.
Pegasi were spooked too. You know how much mocking the dome takes when they get spooked.
Just want to take a moment here to talk. We had a lot of talk about the logistics of him having a Pegasi flock. Because I'm just like, no. They're just grazing. And Scott's like, they would just fly away. And I'm like, no. Cowboys all the time have, like, just flocks that they just drive. Anyways, now we have a giant dome over the Pegasi, which is very sci-fi fantasy, so we love it. But it is. Anyways. There's a knock at the door. That's just terrible, Herc. Hold on 1 minute, would you? Come on in!
The door opens and Mel and Urania enter. Eros closes the door behind them. Alexander gestures that he'll just be 1 moment. Now look, Sheriff. I've been having this Bigfoot problem for weeks now. It's getting so a psych can't even get a drink in town without coming home to a Bigfoot tracks. I hate to say this, but I might have to get my daughter involved.
I hate to say it there, Herc, and you know I don't like it when you're unhappy, but I'd have to tell your daughter the same thing I'm telling you. Bigfoot is just not in my jurisdiction. Maybe call the fellows over at Pest Control. They're state guys. Don't your daughter have some sway with them?
Listen here, Sheriff. I've been a farmer my whole life. I know my pests. I deal with pests. Bigfoot ain't no pest. Bigfoot's a whole problem.
Now, you know I love talking to you, Herc, but 2 lovely ladies from the city just walked into my office, so I'm going to have to let you go. Good day! He presses the button before he... Yeah. Alexander presses a button on his phone and there's dial tone. Mel says, that sounded interesting.
Sheriff says,
just a local kook. That's the usual kind of thing I deal with around these parts.
I don't know why we have Sheriff in the house.
I don't know.
I just realized
the one time we have Sheriff. Dramatic stuff like murder is pretty unheard of.
Mel says,
oh, right to business, huh?
Alexander.
Ma'am, I don't have the time to wine and dine.
Mel.
Ah, but that's the fun part.
Alexander.
Now, I was able to pull some strings and get you an interview with Miss Celine.
Mel.
You know we appreciate all the help you can give us. Thanks for letting us keep our gear on this time.
Alexander.
We do have to be prudent. Privacy concerns and all.
I know I'm laughing here, but it just is a back and forth conversation.
Yep.
The 2 characters you have right now. I don't know where we are. Mel?
I understand completely. Is that the standard protocol?
Alexander?
Let's go back to the prison now, and you'll have a chance to speak with the accused.
Mel?
With Celine.
Alexander?
Yes.
Okay, so interior of the Midas Touch. Now, this is going to be a weird scene.
So something we talked about here, I'm going to talk about, for pacing, something we talked about every time. We're kind of following Mel and Urania through their opening weekend. But every time we cut away from them, we want to cut to like something really dramatic. Something that's visually appealing, something that's going to grab viewers back. So we kind of have podcasters kind of going through and just experiencing small town life. Then we jump and we're in the middle of a magic spell in a lighthouse. We jump back to the podcasters, but it's still a concert. We stay with them for an afternoon. And we jump, and now we're in this changing room, which is basically a department store, kind of like a going out of fashion department store. I think the Midases have like a Sears, right? It's the kind of thing that would have been like top of the world 20 years ago, but now it's a little bit like no one's really yeah.
So in a cramped changing room, there are loud grunts and braying and bangs coming from one of the stalls. After a time, Alcibiades and Andromeda emerge sweaty and disheveled. An older female cherub hovers by a small cash register holding some nylons.
Andromeda tucks some hair back. I'll be right with you, ma'am.
Older female cherub rolls her eyes and leaves.
I think all your brain attracted her.
You think so? Should I go after her? See if I can get her number.
She might have a cell phone. That probably means she's too young for you.
But I've been known to make exceptions in the cases of great beauty.
Alcibiades takes Andromeda's hands to kiss it, and she pushes it away. For a Midas, isn't any woman further than a second cousin an exception?
You know the rules. Parroting. Common stocks for fun, golden bloods for sun.
See, I would have done that with... put on another accent. He's parroting. You know what I mean? Like he's like.
But I feel like he's saying it like mocking. Like,
yeah, exactly. But he's like doing an impression of his dad.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, we're out of it now. Andromeda says, "Trust me. If I wanted any more foals, it wouldn't be with a golden blood. Honestly, you better hit the gym a few more times this week, or it won't even be fun anymore."
You think I'm gaining weight? I have been stress eating. Thinking about Celine.
You know she didn't do it.
Of course she didn't do it. She couldn't have done it. Besides, she always told me her fees from Orpheus alone were going to put her through college. Why would she stone him? I just don't know if the Trojan justice system can open up its eyes enough to see that.
I know what you mean, but for some reason, I just kind of feel like this is different.
It's racist is what it is. Someone turns up stones, so you just arrest the nearest Gorgon? Job well done, Sheriff. Really earned your paycheck this week. Do you think he's even checked the DNA or whatever it is they do?
I know Alexander. He's a good man, but what do you expect him to do? The senator's husband murdered in cold blood? This kind of thing doesn't happen down here every day.
Exactly. And that's why I know he's going to shock it up. And Celine's going to pay the price.
What are you doing later? I'm thinking about dropping by the sheriff's office for a visit.
I feel like there should be a pause here.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But that doesn't need to be said.
That should be a statement.
Yeah, no, but
that
I just
feels
mean...
like a weird...
Yeah.
I agree. We've got to put a stage direction in there.
I don't know. There's something there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a pause. There should be maybe an action there.
That's what I mean, a stage direction. Like the actors are doing something.
My dad demands my presence. Gotta meet the new cousin, but I'll try to sneak out.
Oh, maybe this time it'll be Mrs. Wright, and then someone else can take care of your donkey dick.
Alcibiades brays and Andromeda laughs.
So something that came up here that I want to take a moment to single out. We really wanted to... Something I really like in Battlestar Galactica, they say frack instead of fuck, and it's I really like it. I think that this show, why have real swear words? Why not? I know we have sex, we imply sex, right? This show right now is still a PG-13.
Yeah.
And to avoid having the F word and that kind of stuff, we put in the word shock. We're like, oh, in our culture, swearing is kind of reference to
the gods.
Sex, but in this world... Yeah, swearing would be reference to like the gods because of what they had left, the legacy they left. So shocking is just the F word in this world.
Yeah, it's a curse to Zeus.
Exactly.
So
okay.
Now we're in the interior, the jail. It's during the day, and Celine sits on the cot. Even though she wears standard issues prison clothes, it is folded and tucked in such a way that makes it look personalized. The massive electric blue snakes that makes up her hair tangle and writhe, betraying her anxiety. So they're going to be like kind of calm and that, right?
No, it's the exact opposite. Didn't you just read that? The massive electric blue snakes that are up her hair tangle and writhe, betraying her anxiety. That's the thing. She can't control her hair.
But she control her anxiety.
Like
I see what you mean.
On the surface, she is a picture of calm. Reading a copy of Plato's Republic.
Okay. Now... Before we continue on this, we were talking about this for Celine when we were writing this scene as Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, we do, like, Miley Cyrus, I strongly, like, when you're writing, obviously, we're not going to get all these big name people we're naming, but when you're writing it helps to think of an actor to kind of pin the person to.
And Miley Cyrus was really...
It wasn't even when we started writing,
no.
But as soon as you said it, it clicked so strongly to me.
I feel like you kind of forgot about it, too.
No, I remember as soon as we're reading it, yeah.
Because the other person who I think could do a really good job on this character as well, but would take it in a different direction, is who plays Rosa in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Stephanie Beatrice.
Yeah, Stephanie Beatrice could do a good job with this character as well.
It would be a very different
It'd be a different character, but I think she would take this character also in a good way as well.
I agree. I see that. One thing we're also said when we were coming in, we didn't really know. We wanted to have some threat to Celine here. We still wanted her to...
That's where I think Stephanie Beatrice would take this character. I don't think Miley Cyrus would bring that threat like Stephanie Beatrice would.
That's true.
I think she just has that, like... Rosa just gives that, like, blankness of a character. Like, she just gives that blankness of a character with Rosa.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And so we talk about... the other thing is, we talked a lot about in a way to convey that threat is to really set up this as a Hannibal Lecter scene. Yeah. Right? Like
So the whole room is just going to be fitted with mirrors.
Well, we'll say that in the stage directions, but, like, yeah.
Does it say that in the stage?
I'm sure it does. There's no way. There is a rattle at the door.
Oh, yeah, it's right here.
Alexander enters, followed by Mel and then Urania, who is holding recording equipment aloft. Celine does not acknowledge them. The sheriff indicates 3 chairs that are arranged back onto the shell. to the cell. All three sit and look into a full-length mirror that is set at eye height. Miss Celine, you have some visitors.
Celine pointedly raises her middle finger to flip him off, and in a fluid motion raises it to a snake, which licks her fingers, and then she turns a page. I really like that.
Yeah. Now, I'd prefer to keep things civil, but I understand it's been a stressful weekend for you.
Honey, this ain't even in my top 5 most stressful weekends.
Hi, Celine. I'm Melpomene. This is my producer, Urania. We're with the Pan-Atlantean, and we're interested in doing a story for your case. I tried to reach your lawyer to get in touch with you, but he's on the Delta for the weekend.
On the Delta is Hector's slang for getting really stoned with his husband, and I don't mean that in poor taste.
Celine chuckles, and Alexander flinches in disapproval. Miss Celine, a man is dead.
If you can call that a man, dirty-huffing, womanizing sack of shit who got by on his wife's success.
Sounds like you didn't get along with Orpheus.
Oh, we got along just fine. The money was great, and he was a regular. Bought my boat thanks to him, but I ain't thinking about my purse. The town is better off without him.
I forgot you had a houseboat. I love having a houseboat. Anything we write, I'm going to try and put a houseboat in for the rest of my life. So maybe someone did the town a service.
The person who did it deserves a shocking key to the city.
But instead they're locked up in here?
Depends on whether you think Super Cop here is any good at his job.
A man was turned to stone. Not many around here can do something like that. You do have motive. You won't give us an alibi.
A horny piece of shit lawyer is better than no lawyer at all, if I'm gonna talk to a cop.
Alexander's retort is cut short as the door swings open quickly and Jason rushes in. The wind from the door causes the folder on the table to fly off and then get scattered across the floor near the jail cell. There is a close focus on Celine's face as she sees a photo. She looks horrified for one moment, and then the snakes on her head droop. And then her features are quickly composed. We see Mel notice this in the mirror. Jason enters in a rush.
Through gritted teeth.
Oh yeah, making eyes at the podcasters. He is clearly embarrassed. Jason, can't you see that we're busy? Oh, I thought it was just you and Celine back here. Sorry, I really need to talk to you.
Alexander?
Later.
Jason?
It'll only take a few seconds. It's not like Celine's gonna hurt anyone.
Alexander?
She's an accused murderer, Jason.
No.
Trust me, Sheriff Alexander. I've worked with teenagers before. When they want to talk to you, there's no stopping to them. We'll be okay here for a few minutes alone.
Alexander?
I'll be no more than 5 minutes. To Jason, you've got 3 minutes. To the podcaster. Remember, don't make eye contact. They can stone you in a heartbeat if they want to. Mel, we'll be okay.
Alexander leaves with Jason.
What was in those pictures?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mel stands up. When you saw those pictures, you reacted. There's something you know now that you didn't before. As she talks, Mel carefully backs up until her back is to the bars and then bends to pick up the pictures.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I guess Gorgons are pretty rare around here. The sheriff said you're the only one in the town. But my college roommate was a Gorgon. We got pretty close. We shared a lot of pints of ice cream after breakups. And the one thing I learned is, whenever she got bad news, her snakes would show what her face could hide.
Mel deliberately turns around. Celine looks stricken and doesn't say anything. Mel hands the photo to Celine, making eye contact.
What do you see in this picture?
Celine looks at the photo for a long moment and then looks back at Mel. She takes in a breath as though she might say something and then thinks better of it and hands the photo back.
I don't think you're a murderer, Celine, but I think you know something that you're not telling anyone.
Mel hands Celine a business card.
I'm someone you can trust. Call me if you want to talk. I'm going to cut away from that scene. I remember now how good I felt when I finished that scene. That's a good, yeah. It accomplished everything we wanted to. It really got Mel's super reporter skills on. It put a little twist in there that we don't reveal to the audience yet, but it tells us there's a little something out there that they're not seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I really like it. Exterior, Chalkos to the street.
Close up on Mel's hand. The tips of her three middle fingers have turned to a dark marble veined with white. Mel shakes her hand back and forth like it's asleep, and she's trying to wake it up.
So she definitely didn't do it, right?
I don't know yet. We've only been here a day. I don't think we'll get the full picture at least until the lawyer gets here. I swear, these small towns.
Yeah, but she didn't do it, though. You know it, too. You like to play the unbiased professional reporter, but why else would you have looked in her eyes?
Total petrification practically never happens. You could stare a Gorgon in the eyes for hours before the whole body turns to stone, unless they really try to kill you. I should really get some mandrake lotion for this, otherwise it's gonna crack and peel.
Oh, we just passed a cute little place.
Inside a touch of Cass, day. A bell rings and the door opens. Mel and Urania enter. The store, a hipster beauty store selling tonics, local handmade goods and charms. Mel and Urania look around. Urania excitedly points to a poster that says tarot card readings available. No! Cass enters and raises an eye at Mel. Oh, sorry, not you.
Welcome, ladies. Melpomene, isn't it? Or Melpomene, isn't it?
No, she got it wrong. Melpomene going to correct her. Actually, it's Melpomene.
I'm so pleased that you decided to drop into my little establishment. I have a very wide selection of local artisan goods. And, of course, I manufacture my beauty tinctures and tonics myself. Urania, I want a tarot card reading.
Cass shows Urania to the back. Mel follows reluctantly.
Oh, of course. Well, we have a beautiful table for it over here. And this was crafted by a local, carpenter. And it's on sale as well. I think this just has to go down one.
What?
You know what I mean? The Cass shows Urania to the back. Mel follows reluctantly.
Oh, yeah,
After
makes
she
sense.
says that.
Okay. Urania says,
Just the reading will be fine.
we could even skip this if you don't want to do it. We're really here for some mandrake lotion.
Shh, Mel, you're being rude. Now, please, madam.
Cass, playing along.
Of course, my good lady. Now, I don't get much call to do this from the locals. Not the right kind of superstitious, I'm afraid. But my family does have a bit of a reputation in this town for prophecy.
Urania says,
Did you hear that, Mel? She comes from a long line of oracles.
Mel is picking up a bottle from the counter. Do you have a sampler for this one?
Cass shuffles a deck of cards while Urania waits exuberantly and Mel pointedly ignores them. Take 3 deep cleansing breaths. In,
Hi, Aunt Gloria.
out. In. The bell over the door rings and Cersei stomps into the store, trailed by Icarus and Helen. What the?
Cass says.
I'll be with you in just 1 minute. I'm with a customer.
Cersei, under her breath, says.
Didn't seem to bother you that I might be busy late last night.
And Cass says.
So sorry about that. Now, where were we?
Cass hurriedly turns over a card from the deck. It is Justice, showing a chained prisoner being set free.
Oh, Justice. That's got to be about Selene.
Cass says.
Yes, I heard you were interested in that matter. Poor girl. Perhaps you had a part to play in her destiny.
Icarus and Helen share a meaningful look. Icarus looks to Cersei, but she is glaring at her sister. Cass continues.
Justice is in the near future. In the near future position. That can mean that the matter you're thinking about, or another matter that hasn't yet occurred to you, but will make sense later, is not right, but will be set right. Cersei snorts with laughter. Oh, sorry, I checked.
No, that's, yeah.
She's uncomfortable with the tarot reading in general, and interjections are getting to her. That is.
Oh, yes, that's a stage direction. Cass is getting flustered.
Yeah.
Right, that's the thing. She never does these tarot card readings. And so she's now getting really uncomfortable. And she's also talking to 2 minor celebrities, right? That she's trying to make a good impression on. Her sister's there bothering her. So that's where she is, where the actress is at that moment.
Next we have the...
Cersei turns over a card showing a Cyclops dressed in motley and dancing.
Fool.
And Urania says...
A fool? It could be our horned friend.
Mel says, Urania! Mel and Urania have a glared, silent conversation.
Yes, the fool can be a source of great wisdom if you are prepared to look past the clouds over their mind.
And Cersei says to Mel...
And sometimes a fool is just a fool, all the way through.
Mel and Helen laugh. Icarus looks nervous. Cass glares at her sister.
And sometimes the fool is the one who speaks when their family wishes they'd shut up.
Cersei stomps across the floor.
I guess I'm the fool then for taking care of your family. Next time a courtesy call would be nice. I could have been gathering herbs last night.
And Cass says to Urania, trying to recover face,
I'm so sorry for my sister. You know how it can be in families. Anyways.
Cass draws the last card. It is a tower with storm clouds on top. It resembles the space elevator that comes way later in the season, but just putting out there for the art director.
Yeah.
Cass says,
the distant future is represented by the tower. The tower can mean grave danger if...
And Cersei says,
here it comes, the big sales pitch. The tower means danger unless you buy this tincture for only 100 drachmae. And am I right, sister? That's how you do these things, isn't it?
Cass has had enough. She stands up.
Cersei, I tried to tell you. I'm at work. I'm with a client. How hard is that to get through your head?
And Cersei says,
just like I was at work last night when you dropped your offspring off at my lighthouse?
Cass says,
oh, he who even knows what you do up there.
And Cersei says,
magic! I commune with mystical powers. You know what you are pretending to do. You know what you are pretending to do now with these toys.
Cersei plucks up the tower card off the table and rips it in half horizontally.
You're going to pay for that, Dick.
And Cersei says,
oh, go shock yourself.
Helen squeals in delight to hear her aunt swear in front of her.
Exactly.
We're going to cut away to the ferryman hideout. This is one of our most struggled with scenes the whole entire episode.
We're here.
We're here. We spent weeks workshopping this. We're still not 100% sure about our ferry.
We'll find out.
We didn't talk about the ferryman in the introduction, so let's just say we have kind of a set of bikers that are the kind of villains for this season. They interact with Celine's story a lot, but they're not major players as much. So that's why, to me, they feel a little less developed than some of the other characters. But we spent a long time, so they should be good now. So it's the exterior of the ferryman hideout, and it's day. It's the abandoned copper mine, a rocky and dusty set of boarded up and graffitied industrial-looking buildings outside of town. Several motor chariots are lined up outside. Music can be heard blasting through the walls, and there's a frat atmosphere. Pollock stands outside, listing drunkenly and pissing against a sign that reads Chalkos Copper Mine. A jalopy pulls up, and a tall figure wearing a trench coat tears out of the car. Ptolemy picks up Pollux.
Where the shock is she?
Pollux leaps in and kisses Ptolemy with the tongue. Ptolemy tosses Pollux aside in disgust and storms off into the building. Pollux stands up and takes a minute to brush himself off, and then scurries into the bar. Let's take a moment here. We've mentioned it a couple times. Pollux in this moment is under the effects of Daiti, which is a drug that we've invented. We don't really want to have real drugs in this, but
it's not that we don't want to have real drugs. It's more that we wanted to, I feel like we're gonna have another scene. We don't establish really what it is, but it is clearly something either is or similar to cannabis.
Daiti?
No, the next scene with...
oh, yeah, that's true. That might actually be, because there is some stuff of that. But Daiti is an invention for this.
Yeah, Daiti is an invention, but
it's
I just say
short for Aphrodite.
We do dabble in where there might be cannabis in the world.
It's a powerful aphrodisiac, and yeah, it's like a destructive drug. It's kind of... even though it doesn't have the same effects, we might use it later as an opioid.
I see it as ecstasy.
Yeah, but it's worse than ecstasy.
Yeah, it's ecstasy,
it's very
but an opioid.
Yeah, it's like a meth-tasy, right? Because they're manufacturing it in the same way that you would manufacture drugs.
But it's as addictive as... I feel like it's as addictive as opioids, but also... the effects are loving and
it's like an aphrodisiac, but it's harsh, right? It's a harsh thing too. I think. I don't think it's good to come down off of.
Oh.
Yeah, to me that's what we're talking about when we're talking about Daiti. It also has a shorthand for meth. They're manufacturing it in labs. Yeah. They're that kind of thing. It's the bikers. This is
it's supposed to be meth.
It's the closest to Breaking Bad that we come is the bikers, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, with that said, Ptolemy, who's rushed into this motor chariot club in an old school jalopy car, wearing a trench coat, jumps out and screams, "Where the shock is he?" And then Cairo Oh, no. So he kissed so now we're inside the bar.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got lost.
Interior, the ferryman hideout, day.
Inside, the atmosphere is dark and tense. The light enters in shafts through the boarded-up windows and comes from neon signs that have been affixed to the walls. There are pool tables, one or two tired and high-looking nymph dancers cowering on the stage. Ptolemy is standing near the entrance, holding out his phone with a semicircle of ferrymen all standing around, brandishing weapons.
I know she's in here. Where the shock is she?
Cairo, who is Hecaton Shires,
Yeah.
who's like a hundred-handed bruiser. You're lost.
We don't know
kid.
what Ptolemy is. We never really...
We said he was a sphinx at one point.
But we never really... we don't... Like, that can be up to the discretion of whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we don't... He's
yeah,
gonna...
he's such a one-off character.
Yeah.
He could be really anything. Whatever is cheap to make him.
Yeah.
You're lost, kid. Get out of here while you still can. Ptolemy moves his wings to brush aside the trench coat. See, he has wings. We did talk about him being a sphinx. Revealing a vest festooned with wires.
I remember that now. Yeah.
He's also named Ptolemy after the Greek rulers of Egypt.
If you don't hand her over, none of you are getting out of here. Sorry, I didn't realize we were there.
It's okay. There's a general murmur from around the assembled ferrymen. Cairo looks uncertainly around. Pollux wipes his eyes. Do you think you can blow that baby up before I can blow your head off?
I don't need to be faster than you. This here is a dead man's trigger. If anything happens to me to make my finger come off this switch, this whole place goes to Hades.
Yeah, we all know what oh, this is Pollux. Yeah, we all know what a dead man's trigger is. An unseen voice speaks up. It is Agamemnon who enters. I'm going to take Agamemnon strategically because it's him and Ptolemy almost all see.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any need for any of this. Why don't we have a little conversation?
No conversation necessary. Just get me Ariadne and everything will be fine.
Ariadne. Pretty young thing from Atlantis, I think. I picked her up on a corner once. Yeah, I know her. She can be a lot of fun, but you have to put a bag over her head, if you know what I mean.
Ptolemy reacts.
Look, I'm a reasonable man. If you want to see Ariadne, I'll let you see her. She's upstairs in the office right now. Electra, would you mind getting our guest?
Electra flies up and out of the group and lands on the second floor of the frame.
So floor out of frame, but
Out of frame.
That's really up to the director. That's really a bad one for me to put in. While Electra goes and gets your friend, why don't you answer a few questions for me?
I've got nothing to say.
Now that's not very fair, is it? Electra, hold off on that for a minute. We've all been real friendly so far. Let's keep it that way.
What do you want to know?
Who sent you?
No one.
You walked into a bar filled with ferrymen all on your own. You expect me to believe that?
I don't care what you believe. I just want Ariadne.
Those are some serious explosives for a concerned citizen. Hard to get your hand on something like that. Tell me the truth. Did you come from the Gigantes?
Who?
He looks like a narc to me, boss. I bet he's with the state.
Look, I'm a chemistry major. They don't lock the labs up at night.
How did you know she was here then? Did they send you?
Look, I told you. I'm a friend of Ariadne's. She's been missing. I traced her here using Find My Telephone. I don't know what you're talking about. I just miss her.
I'm just going to go back and say, because you screwed up the best pun that we're never going to get.
Phone.
A Delphi phone?
I know.
We're never going to get that in the show. We'll never get it across, so it's only going to show up here in the script.
Sorry.
It's iPhone, but Delphi phone.
Delphi phone.
There's a long, pregnant pause. Then Agamemnon chuckles and the tension drops from the room. Agamemnon crosses and folds his wing over Ptolemy, who stiffens awkwardly. You know what? I believe you. Love makes you do foolish things, like walking into the lion's den. And hey, look at the balls on you. You had even me kind of worried with this whole suicide thing for a moment. Do you have any plans for your future? We can always use a chemist in the ferryman. We have tremendous benefits, and there's always room to grow. There's a chance to get ahead in the world. With that, an object falls into the room and bounces wetly on the floor. All look down to see a severed gorgon head staring at Ptolemy, who is instantly petrified. What the shock do you think you're doing?
I thought you wanted me to throw it on the head.
Not until I gave you the signal. I thought we might have been able to recruit the kid.
You said the whole thing about getting ahead. I thought that was the signal.
Okay. I can see how that was unclear. The music starts back up and the bikers get back to work of getting high. Sorry, we should mention all the bikers are wearing sunglasses. Yeah. That's how we got around. Yeah. So now we're inside of Jason's room. It's night. Daphne lies on the bed playing catch with Rex, a tiny 3-headed puppy. Listening to Jason as he paces and complains, Daphne takes a hit from the joint and passes it to Jason. He gesticulates with it, but doesn't take a hit. Just doesn't make any shocking sense. It's not like going on tour prevents me from going to college in any way. Loads of people are going away on spring break. And besides, I already got my acceptance letters. I'm going away to college just like he wanted. So why did he all of a sudden cancel my... Why did he decide all of a sudden to cancel my credit card?
Jason seemingly realizes he is holding the joint, takes a huge hit and passes it back to Daphne. You're right, it doesn't make sense. There must be more to it that we're not seeing. You know he has your best interests at heart.
Rex leaves Daphne and goes to bark near the window. Daphne takes a hit from the joint and raises it for Jason to come take it from her. Echo's hand enters through the window to take the joint, and she climbs through and takes a hit. Rex excitedly prances and bats at Echo, who affectionately rubs his heads. The joint continues to circulate amongst the three of them. Echo joins Daphne on the bed and opens a small tin with rolling papers and herb. Echo starts to roll another.
Hey, lovebirds, I know you were home. I could smell you a mile away. What you talking about? Jason's dad canceled his credit card, so the tour is off.
And Echo says,
Figures.
What do you mean figures? This is like big news.
We were crazy to think that we could control our own fate. We were teenagers, dude. We just bounce around from authority figure to authority figure until they say we're old enough to drink. The man likes to squish us, and in this town the man is your dad. And your brother. I guess. Man, it sucks to be the you two.
Gee, thanks.
It's not that bad. Eros has always taken care of me and my grandpa. Just because your daddy canceled your credit cards doesn't mean we can't go on tour. We just have to be creative with our finances.
Oh, yeah, I'll just pray to the gods for some money, Daphne says.
It's not the craziest idea.
Come on, Daph. The gods can't hear us. They haven't been around for 2,000 years.
I'm just saying, you never know. No one knows where they went, so we don't know when they might come back again. It couldn't hurt to pray. Maybe praying could bring them back.
And Echo says,
why would you want them to come back? We've all read the histories. They were monsters, serial rapists, mass murderers, and sociopaths. Those are on their good days.
I don't think it matters. Those days are over. There are some relics around, and of course, all Titan fire goes back to the original flame that Prometheus stole from Zeus and gave to the humans. But we've advanced from that point now. Literal millennia have passed. We haven't seen any sign that the gods, or humans for that matter, it's up to us to make our destiny now. And really, we just put all three of those characters, it was just like a straight up, we put all those three of those characters' belief systems directly on display. They all just told the camera directly what they believe, and that's going to define their characters.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're all three like some of our main characters. Yep. A moment of silence passes as the joint passes around.
I wonder what lightning looked like.
I think lightning was just like a metaphor for Zeus's displeasure. He probably reached down and flicked them or something.
And Echo demonstrated by flicking her fingers.
And Echo says,
she does that.
Yeah. And Echo says, baitingly, trying to get a fight going.
That's even if there was a Zeus.
And Daphne says,
we have proof. There are still runes from human times and holy artifacts. That's the gods bestowed upon their heroes. Don't you remember when we saw Aegis' shield in Atlantis?
And Echo says,
I'm surprised you saw it. I thought you two were too busy making out under the golden apples of desire.
And Daphne says,
I'm an excellent multitasker. I feel she has to be holding the joint at this point. I feel like it's funnier to...
Definitely. Jason says, I'm just glad you didn't see what we did beside the Nemean lion skin.
Echo's taking a hit and coughs with laughter.
I know the gods were real, though. Daphne says,
do you?
I do. I feel it every time I work with Titan Fire. Every time I'm doing magic. I feel the connection back through all the sacred flames to the original one bestowed upon the humans by Prometheus.
Feel it? How?
It's hard to explain. It's just like playing the fire lyre. I just let go of myself and become an unbroken link to something bigger than myself.
That sounds incredible. I wish I could experience something like that.
There's another period of silence as the joint circles the room.
Why do you think he gave it to them?
Echo says.
Who?
And Daphne says.
Why do you think Prometheus gave fire to the humans and not to us?
He made them, didn't he?
So do you think he thought they were more deserving?
And Echo says.
I don't think the gods and the Titans thought like that. I think they thought more who their favorite was than who deserved what.
How do you think they picked their favorites then?
With their dicks.
Daphne says.
Hey, I'm sure some of them use their vulvas too.
Jason says.
Daphne would... Because she's stoned at this point.
Yeah.
She thinks it's funny that she's being feminist.
Yeah. Exactly. It always seemed to be the humans, though, didn't it?
Maybe that's where they went. If the stories tell us anything, it's that it's dangerous to be chosen by the gods.
Daphne says.
It's all creepy, though, isn't it? They all just vanished all of a sudden. All the humans and all the gods, all at once. Do you think that could happen to us one day?
There's a long silence, and then an alarm sounds on Daphne's phone, startling Rex, who jumps onto the bed, knocking over Echo's tin and making a racket. Daphne looks at her phone surprisingly.
Sorry, guys. I lost track of time. I gotta go.
Interior. Inn. Mel and Urania's hotel room. When I said the biker scene took us a long time, this one took us a lot. This took weeks. This is probably 15 hours of work. This ending scene.
This ending scene? No.
It's at least like 8 or 9.
No.
Yeah.
We did like 3 hours.
No way. No way. Okay. The hotel suite is literally...
I'll read this.
Okay.
The hotel suite is littered with recording equipment. Mel sits in a worn hotel chair with a huge microphone in her face. Urania sits across the room looking at a laptop wearing tin can headphones. Okay, are you ready?
Ready.
Recording now, starting in 5, 4, 3. Urania mouths the numbers 2 and 1.
When I told my editor that I wanted to do a story about Chalkos, she was incredulous. What's so special about Chalkos? She demanded in that editor voice she tends to use. You know the one I mean. Deadlines exist for a reason, Mel. And that was a fair question. What is so special about Chalkos? What makes it different from any of the other forgotten towns along the Delta, struggling to get by with the decline in fish stocks and the closure of the copper mine? It could be the people. The people of Chalkos are welcoming, friendly, and blessedly kooky.
Exterior, Main Street night. There's a long, faraway shot of a car as it drives through the town. It passes by the inn, a touch of Cass in the sheriff's station, when she talks about the murder.
And the sheriff talking...
It should be while she talks about the murder.
After only... It's trying to say that the sheriff's station links up with the murder. Is what it's trying. After only a weekend's visit, I can already assure you that Charybdis' gyros are the best on all of Olympia.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You definitely might hear Jason and the Argonauts rocking a local crowd on the fire lyre, and the high drama of a tarot reading show at A Touch of Cass is not to be missed. What I've noticed most about Chalkos, though, in only my brief time here, is how everyone is dealing with change. When a big change happens in a small town, like the murder of a well-known town figure, a senator's husband and respected philanthropist, it sends ripples through the community. Those ripples might appear small, but in a town that is just barely clinging to life, the wrong change just might bring on a tsunami.
Exterior, Chalkos outskirts, night. The car winds through the darkness into a wooded area, past the mine where a party seems to be going on. It pulls over in a parking lot marked for a walking trail. There's a sign across it that reads closed. For the first time we see that Daphne has been driving. She gets out of the car and looks around nervously. She retrieves a bundle from her trunk. She changes into the robes and walks into the wood along a trail.
People deal with extreme change in different ways. Some cling to the familiar, refusing to believe that the change can ever affect them. Others cling to the law and the justice system, believing that the good guys will protect them. Others embrace change, hoping that whatever it brings will be better than their current circumstances. In the end, Chalkos and its residents will be defined by how they react to change. Will they adapt and find a way to survive, or even thrive, building opportunity amidst the challenges of the future? Or will the Chalkosians cling to tradition and find its answers in the past, steadfastly ignoring the perils that lurk just outside of its borders? Either way, change is coming, and no one can stop it.
Daphne joins a large group of people in similar robes walking into a clearing that is lit by torches. The clearing is surrounded by statues of gods in the Greco-Roman style, and in the center is a large statue of Poseidon. Interior, hotel room, night. Melanie and Rainier are still recording the podcast.
What's so special about Chalkos? Nothing. Or maybe everything. That comes down to the people who call it home. With a high-profile murder case on the docket and media types, including yours truly, already setting up at the courthouse, Chalkos is going to get a level of attention that it's never seen before. And it won't just affect the life of two people. The story I came here to tell isn't just the story of a well-connected nymph and the Gorgon who stands accused of murdering him. No, it's the story of the Minotaur sheriff and his son who really, really, really wants to go on tour. It's the story of two sisters who are, well, you know, sisterly. It's the story of a fearsome kraken slayer whose crops are always getting messed up by that pesky Bigfoot. Most of all, it's the story about how all these people adapt to change. A delta is the difference between how things were and how things end up. And it's up to the people of the Chalkos River Delta where things end up. And it's up to the people of the Chalkos River Delta where things end up. It's still an unknown variable. I'm Melpomene, and this is the Delta.
Roll credits. End.
I'm sad I screwed up that last sentence.
Okay.
After I got all the way through.
And it's up to the people of the Chalkos River Delta.
Weird. The scene actually doesn't... That sentence actually doesn't make sense. We've got to go back and change that sentence. It's actually two ideas. It starts an idea, it finishes the idea, and that finishing idea starts a whole new idea. I do that all the time in my sentences. It's my worst trait. Right?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
All right. But so there is some things we got to go
Of course.
over,
It's the first draft.
But what do you think of this after reading it?
I'm proud. I'm just proud. I'm just so excited. I'm really excited.
Feels good, eh?
It does. I can't believe it. We spent an hour and a half talking about this tonight.
Yeah.
Holy crow. Yeah. If we've got a whole bunch of new streamers followers lately, things are kind of picking up. I know we're going off air now. It's the worst timing, but I think
we're only going off air for 2 weeks.
We're only going off air for 2 weeks, and I'm really excited to show you what.
And it was 2 weeks from the Monday, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe
I agree. It was really like a week.
Really today, yeah. Today was just a bonus episode.
Exactly. Right? We weren't actually writing today. This was just a tape we'll read. We got as I was started to say, and then moved into a middle of a thought, and then started a whole new thought, as I just was complaining about. We got a whole new bunch of stream followers. We've been working on this for months. I'm sure not many people know how this began. This is a good touchstone. We'll pin this on our YouTube, whatever. We'll keep this out there so people can know what we're talking about when we're coming to Chalkos. So I think that served a great... And for my own self, to see it in its entirety. There's actually a scene missing, I feel like. I don't know what it is, but I feel like in the pacing, we might actually want...
I don't think there's a scene missing.
No?
No, I think there's just some dialogue that needs to be cleaned up.
I feel like we leave the podcasters at a touch of Cass, and then we're right back at the hotel. To me, that feels a little strange. For me, it feels like we still are missing one connecting scene with them that we could slide in between the bikers and Jason's house. But I could be wrong. It's something we'll talk about in season 2.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm really happy with that.
Super excited.
Turned out. It was a really good read.
Thanks for tuning in. We had a lot of fun reading it out loud. We hope you did too. Until season 2.
Yeah, season 2!
Don't stop writing.